With me in studio this morning is Miss Jean Griffiths. She's the president of the Sickle Cell Association of Grenada. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Daybreak Grenada.
Thank you.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm fine, thanks.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us about the association. What exactly is the mission of the Sickle Cell Association of Grenada?
Okay, the Sickle Cell Association was formed 4.5 years ago by a small group of people who recognized that there was a lack of information advice for people with sickle cell disease in Grenada. In Grenada, we didn't know, or we still don't know, the amount of people who are sufferers of sickle cell disease. However, we've got a database that's got about 184 people on that. The objectives of the organization is to raise awareness about sickle cell disease in Grenada and to offer advice, counseling, and support to people with sickle cell disease, their families, their carers. Also to liaise with health and other professionals about sickle cell disease in Grenada.
Okay, nice. Now, I think what's important is for us to say exactly what sickle cell disease is. How does it come about? Can you tell us?
Sickle cell disease is a genetically inherited condition affecting the red blood cells. So it's not having more white cells than red cells. It's not red ones eating white ones. It's a genetic condition. People with sickle cell trait have inherited one affected genes from one of their parents. So if both parents has got sickle cell trait, or they're carriers for the condition, and they have children, every child of that union have a 25% chance of inheriting sickle cell disease, sickle cell anemia, sickle cell disorder, whatever you get to call it.
Mm-hmm. And well, we can see the chart here for the hereditary, the chances of somebody getting sickle cell if the parents have the trait, right?
That's right.
Okay. And just tell us exactly what the AS means, that sort of thing.
AS means sickle cell trait. It means you've inherited the A, which is a normal gene from the parent, and a sickle gene, which represents the S from your parents.
Right.
So those parents there are healthy carriers. You wouldn't know that you're a carrier for sickle cell trait unless you had a special blood test to determine that. So as you see, mom's got sickle cell trait, dad has sickle cell trait, and that's the four chances, okay?
Right.
One child may have inherited hemoglobin AA, which is normal, and two children may have sickle cell trait, AS, and one affected child with sickle cell disease. However, all the children can have AA, all the children could be AS, or all the children could be SS. It's a matter of chance. Mm-hmm. It's like throwing a dice. What do you get?
Yeah.
So that's how they inherit. That's how you inherit sickle cell disease.
Now, what sort of signs and symptoms does one show if they have sickle cell traits or sickle cell disease?
Okay, people with sickle cell trait, there is nothing to see. The same as people with sickle cell disease. Mm-hmm. However, if you inherit sickle cell disease, you know about it, because symptoms can occur as young as 6 months old. That baby may have what we call dactylitis, or hand-foot syndrome, where the fingers and the toes, or the hands and the feet swell. Mm-hmm. The hands will look like a sausage, so was the feet. It is excruciatingly painful. So those parents would not be aware, unless they knew what their status was before, mm-hmm. that there's a possibility that the child could be affected. Okay. So that is actually the child. And as the child grows, different symptoms will occur. So the first one will be dactylitis, or not necessarily so, or the child will just be in pain, cry, take the child to the hospital. What is the problem? Mm-hmm. They do a blood test, and hey presto, this child has got sickle cell disease. Right. Yeah. There's some symptoms of sickle cell disease. One is anemia. The most predominant feature is anemia. Jaundice. I'm sure people may be jaundice. Mm-hmm. They will have pain in any part of the body, They will and pain is, as I say, is the predominating feature of sickle cell disease. They're tired because they're anemic. They might have shortness of breath from time to time, but not necessarily so. Because sickle cell disease is an invisible condition, it is also very, very variable, because two people in the same family will present very differently. So this is why it's important for people to know what their sickle cell status is, and if they have children or others with sickle cell disease, that they're followed up by the physicians on a regular basis.
Right. And a simple blood test can let you know.
A simple blood test can let you know, but you've got to ask for it. Can I be tested for sickle cell? Because if you just go to the doctor and say, oh, well, I'm feeling a little bit tired, they might say, okay, let's do a blood test and see if you're anemic.
Right.
And the anemia may be iron deficiency, so they'll give you some iron. Whereas with sickle cell, there is a special test for that. It's called hemoglobin electrophoresis.
Right.
And then that will determine what your hemoglobin status, genotype is.
Right. Now, I know cost is an issue when it comes to doing tests. How reasonable would that blood test be?
$25.
Okay.
So it's not too bad.
Yeah. And of course, it would be worth it to know rather than waiting till the long run when you find out and problems could be probably worse, right?
That's right.
Can sickle cell disease lead to any further severe health problems?
Yes. If you've got sickle cell disease, there are many complications of that condition. And I can start at the head, stroke. Because in sickle cell disease, the red cells don't live as long in circulation as normal red cells. Normal red cells live for 120 days. Sickle cell only live for between 10 and 18 days. That is a hemolytic condition, right? Where it means that the blood cells break down very quickly, and hence the anemia. So probably you'll go to the doctor, somebody with sickle cell disease think, well, they should take iron. That is not advisable, because it's not that they're iron deficient, it's because the red cells are breaking down. That is why they actually are anemic. And yes, if we talk about the complications of sickle cell disease, there are many. Strokes, for instance. The youngest person I've known to have a stroke in my career was 11 months old.
Wow.
Baby had sickle cell disease and she had a stroke. So because of the clumping of the red cells look like a sickle, hence its name. They clump together in the blood vessels and cause what we call the crisis, or sickle cell crisis. And it can happen anytime, any place, anywhere. So it's a lifelong condition, and as I said, it's very variable. Parents with children with sickle cell disease can't plan, because the child may go to school and parents gone to work, and half an hour later they get called, can you come and collect the child because she's in pain. So that is actually the crisis, and the crisis will bring you into hospital at any time. If we go back to looking at the complications, again, jaundice is a complication of sickle cell disease. And because the red cells are breaking down, the byproduct of broken down red cells is bilirubin. It spills over in the blood. Your body can cope with so much and get rid of it, and you won't know about it. But because, as I said, the rapid breakdown of the cells, you get the jaundice. Gallstones, that is common in people with sickle cell disease. And 50% of children with sickle cell disease, by the time they're 8 years old, they have gallstones. Again, because of the anemia, the body tries to compensate and will make red cells in your forehead, in the jaw. So the jaw will overgrow and the forehead will overgrow. Only about 3 weeks ago, I saw a young person. He was 16 years old, and he had the classic busting of the forehead and of the jaw because of sickle cell.
Right.
Again, sickling in the big joints, like the hips, the shoulders, and actually repeated sickling in the hips can cause a vascular necrosis of the hips, and the person may need to have a total hip replacement by the time they're 25.
Wow.
You would expect people to need hip replacements in their 70s and 80s, but that is the nature of sickle cell disease. So there are many complications. Again, pain. Pain is the predominating feature of sickle cell disease. And unfortunately, people with sickle cell disease are not believed when they say that they're in pain, or they pitch up in hospital repeatedly. It is not visible, and pain is subjective. You know, your pain is different to my pain. If I've got sickle pain, it's pain. Yeah. So unfortunately, there are times that they're not believed, and it's very sad because the patients are very distressed. And if they're not believed, they think, oh my God, what am I doing here? You know? So this is where we need a lot of education, to educate the public, to educate our health and other professionals about sickle cell disease. Okay. And to say even to employers, how many people do you employ with sickle cell disease? If they tell you they've got sickle cell disease, will you employ them? There you go.
Right. A question I have for you.
Go on.
What would you say to parents who perhaps one of the parents has sickle cell or is a carrier of the sickle cell, and they perhaps shy away from trying to have children, thinking that, you know, they don't want a child with sickle cell disease? What would you say to a potential parent thinking that way?
I think that is very much for the person to decide whether what they do. What we can do is offer counseling and advice, but actually the decision is theirs.
Right.
Nobody's saying don't have children with sickle cell disease, because if you can't help who you fall in love with. You don't know if the person has sickle cell trait. So this is why I would very much like to see in Grenada that babies are tested at birth. So parents are well aware of what their children's status is, because once you've got a diagnosis, it doesn't change. It's with you for life. The same way as you have brown eyes and it's with you for life, the same way if you have sickle cell trait, it does not change. So get people tested so they know, so when they're looking at prospective partners, they can make informed decisions.
Right. And you have an event coming up. Just tell us about it.
Right. The Sickle Cell Association is desperately looking for membership and desperately looking for people to come and join us, to come and help, to come and spread the word, to come and actually, we need somebody to help us fundraise at the moment because we get no statutory funding. Everything we do, we fundraise. We've got a meeting, a general meeting coming up on the 21st of this month, which is next week, Wednesday, at 5 p.m. at Knox House. And we're asking people to just come along, come and learn about sickle cell and what you can do to help the association, to help the organization grow. I do this very much on a voluntary basis. My background is nursing. I've been out of the country for a long, long time, came back, and this is my forte. This is my hobby horse.
What sort of other services does the Sickle Cell Association of Grenada provide?
Well, we provide advice. So anybody can drop in at Knox House between 9 and 1, Tuesday and Thursday mornings, because that's why I'm there. If you come a minute after 1, you won't find me. I'm gone. Unless you call me and tell me you're running late. And they can come in and get advice, get leaflets, and we can talk.
Fantastic.
I can't actually do blood tests or anything, but as the service develops, we may be able to do that. One of the things we're trying to raise funding for is for a very important piece of equipment for the lab that will give us better testing. It's quicker. Unfortunately, it's very expensive, like everything. It's cost $34,500 US. So again, that's why we're trying to raise funds so we can get this piece of equipment. It would not only screen for sickle cell disease, but it'll screen for other things. So it's not just looking for that. It's something that could be that is multifunctional.
Right, right.
So if we can if we can raise the funding for this piece of equipment, we'll be streets ahead.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ms. Griffiths, for coming in this morning. I must say, I'm sure a lot of our viewers learned something this morning as regards sickle cell disease. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Come and see us next week.
Sure.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.